now, from fears about the state of China's economy to growing optimism about Asia's other emerging giant. All day today, BBC News is looking at India and its improving economic prospects in a special day of coverage. So let's take a look at some of the facts and figures. Well, India's growth hit 7.5% in the 3 months ending in March. That means it has outpaced China for 2 out of the last 3 quarters. About half the population is under 25 years old, meaning that companies have a plentiful supply of young, energetic and tech-savvy workers. If current trends continue, it's estimated that India will have the world's largest workforce by 2030. India still faces huge challenges though. 400 million Indians still live below the poverty line, and more than 2/3 of the population lives in rural villages. Giving them access to jobs, credit and opportunities for growth remains challenging for policymakers. So let's go over to Karishma Vashwani now, who's in Mumbai for us with a lot more, all about India rising.
10 seconds. I'm coming to you live from Mumbai, the Indian financial capital, Susanna, and I'm on Marine Drive, one of the iconic images of the Indian financial capital. Now, policymakers here have been talking to me about how the expectation for growth this year should come in at around 8%. That would make India a much faster growing economy than China, the country that it's often compared to. But there are some real problems with reaching that growth, and one of the major issues is the issue of reform. There have been political challenges trying to get these economically critical reforms through. For instance, trying to make it easier for businesses to get land to build factories on. Now, I'm joined by Rajrishi Singhal. He is a senior fellow with the Gateway House think tank, which is based in Mumbai. Tell me, Rajrishi, how much of a problem is it for the Modi government, which came into power just about 16 months ago, to try and push these reforms through? Political challenges getting in the way of economic growth.
Hi, Karishma. Thanks for having me. I think it's going to be tough. I think they underestimated the political challenges in pushing some of the pre-electoral pledges through. For instance, the land bill. I think they kind of assumed that it would sail through because they have a majority in the upper house, but they didn't contend with the upper house where the opposition has a majority. And I think they went about it in the wrong way by changing certain parts of the land bill, and that gave a handle to the opposition. I think GST is also stuck for similar reasons, and I think the political maneuvering and discussions with the opposition haven't really worked that well. So I think in some senses they have underestimated the path to growth, the path to policy making and the path to reforms.
So they've overreached, you might say, and now they're in a situation where the global economy is suffering certainly from what we're seeing as a Chinese-led economic slowdown. How much of an impact do you think that's going to have on India's growth?
Well, in some ways it benefits India because India is a net importer of commodities, and therefore lower prices of commodities helps India. But at the same time, because these economies are growing slowly, 25% of India's GDP is based on exports, and so these guys are not going to buy as much as they were expected to buy earlier. Secondly, I think some of this is overblown because a large part of the economy, especially the manufacturing economy, is moving into global supply chains. And global supply chains, which are based all across in different locations, in different geographies, is really agnostic to exchange rate changes. So to that extent, whichever part of India manufacturing is, a component or integral part of a global supply chain, is going to, remain steady, is not going to be affected so much by the slowdown. But exports, I think, is likely to be hit.
So not terribly affected, but still not immune. So the summary from Rajrishi Singhal there from the Gateway House, a senior fellow with that think tank based in Mumbai. There are a number of challenges facing India's economy, which we will be talking to you about throughout the course of this day as we bring you live reports from Mumbai and Delhi on the BBC's India Rising season right here on BBC World News.
Thanks very much, Karishma. A very busy Karishma there in Mumbai. And that's all from World Business Report.